We are live.
Yeah, buddy.
Cool. So, cleaning your room versus, fixing society. Let's talk about that. So, why don't
Did you get a chance to watch that?
going?
Did you get a chance to watch that clip, or did you run out of time?
Yeah, a little bit. Why don't you kind of go over it?
I'll give it a little breakdown. So I thought it was a really interesting clip. Obviously, I'm always leaning on the side of JBP. I think he has a great perspective, and it was a great way to kind of break down why interviewers tend to keep on saying, "So you're saying," or something to that effect.
Yeah.
Because they have a thought. So they might be reading his work, or they might be listening to him, and a thought will be spurned, and they will make a decision on where he sides on that thought. So on this case, this interviewer in particular says, he listens to Jordan Peterson, and he hears him say, "Clean your room." And he kind of hears him say, like, take care of the responsibilities of where you're at before you become an activist, before you attempt to take on the problems of the world. And so he decides that this is kind of in all situations, and that he's basically discouraging people from being activists or people from having a voice. So that's what he decided. So now when he's actually in the interview with Jordan, he doesn't take the time to go, okay, am I correct about what I assume you're saying? Instead, he bases everything he's going to say on the premise that he decided of what Peterson was trying to articulate.
Yeah.
And so they'll say, so in order to frame their argument, they have to nail down what Peterson is actually saying. And it's complex. It's not a well, I shouldn't say that. It's not complex because it's really simple, and it's also complex, just like everything in life. And they're trying to simplify it down to the slant they put on. And he has to constantly say things like, no, that's not what I'm saying at all.
Well, it's really interesting how they do that too, eh? Like the Kathy Newman the same way, where it's like, okay, this is what I want you to believe,
right?
So that I can kind of push and it's Kathy Newman was the funniest version of that, because she was just like not even listening. I found the guy in the he made some decent arguments.
Yeah, I actually liked some of the things he said.
It was pretty good for that, but at least he was listening, whereas she was not so much.
Right. But he actually was caught not listening quite a few times. So what I liked about what he talked about is some of his ideas and his premises were structured well, and it made sense to question those things. And I'll get into the specifics in a second. But he was arguing a point that Jordan wasn't arguing. So it was an inevitable scarecrow, because he had made an assumption prior to the conversation of what Jordan was actually trying to say. Yeah. So let's get into it a little bit. Let's dig in. So the topic is specifically is the guy was trying to corner Jordan on making a very specific stance on, do you prioritize cleaning your room and taking care of your immediate issues before you are even allowed to, in quotes, allowed to be an activist or to address world issues?
Yeah.
So that was his premise. That was where he was going off of. So if we were to discuss just that, which we'll do, that's fantastic. And he had some interesting points. But Jordan was never saying that's what he was articulating. Yeah. He was saying that who are you to try to solve the problems of the world and you can't even solve something as quote unquote simple as your room.
Yeah.
And he's making the argument that it's a microcosm of the world. He's making the argument that it's hubris, and he's making the argument that if you can't even take care of your room, how do you think your voice is going to help the bigger problem?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have to have a firm understanding of what's going on in your own life before you can really try to influence the world around you. At least that's my understanding of Peterson's position on that. I could be mistaken, but
well, yeah, it is. It is in the simplest terms, and I think it's absolutely correct, right?
Yeah.
But what do you think about this guy's perspective on? What if you don't have all your shit together? Okay, and this is a very Christian idea, and I don't know what your religious background is, but people who don't attend church or are not Christian may think this is opposite of what it actually is. But the purpose of the church is to invite the sinner in, not to come to God or to church perfect, right? It's a place of healing, spiritual healing. It's not a place of purity in that sense. In the sense that we should not be deterred from going to God or church when we are until we are perfect. Okay, so that's the idea. So likewise, if I'm going to parallel that with this gentleman's point, is why should we discourage adults or young people from having a voice in the greater political sphere as imperfect, when we know that people who are already in the greater political sphere are imperfect, and people who are imperfect still have a lot to contribute?
Yeah,
does that make sense? Yeah,
I think that sums up this argument pretty good.
Yeah.
That's how I would describe it. Well, yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah. So I mean, what are your thoughts about? Can they coexist? I mean, what do you think? I mean, do they coexist? These ideas coexist? Is there a reason why people are people intentionally articulating the two sides as exclusive in order to gain political prowess? I mean, I don't understand. What do you think?
I wouldn't say that they're mutually exclusive, because everybody needs to have your voice for sure in order to, make improvements. But you really can't know for sure that you're making the correct improvements unless you're making those improvements in your own life. Like it's like the white liberals complaining about racism from every which way, while simultaneously being racist. And so there's this disconnect, right? Like, where if you can't practice what you're preaching, then you shouldn't be preaching it. If that makes any sense?
No, yeah.
So
what do you think about? So what do you think about the argument itself? Do you think that we as a society, this is a huge generalization, but we're just not ever getting to the actual question?
Well, yeah, I do, because it's the activists don't seem to be actually. Sorry, my kid's just screaming up a storm.
Well, if you need to attend them, just let me know. But
okay. Cool. No, he's the argument itself. Like, I'm of the opinion that. How do I word this? We're not getting to the right question here, because and I think this is coming down to the whole collectivist versus individualist arguments, right? Because everybody keeps saying left, right, left, right, left, right, but it comes down to the people who want to censor and think about the groups versus the people who want to argue the individual, right? So by saying that you know, you can go out and fix society. What are you looking for? Mm-hmm. Oh. Okay.
You're okay?
Yeah. Sorry, you just remind me what we were talking about?
So we're talking about the framing of questions and trying to get to the crux of a debate, because a lot of times what we see is that debates never actually. Go ahead. You retained your thought.
Okay, so he
talking about individualism versus collectivism.
Well,
yeah.
This is coming down to the individualist versus collectivist point of view. Where, you know, I gotta go deal with that. I'll be back in just 1 second.
Right. Oh, so I think I'm still live. And if we are still live, I will try to keep everybody's attention. So basically what we're talking about is the debate of, so we're discussing whether we actually get to the crux of any type of question in particular. Now, Kyle was going to start discussing individualism, collectivism, and then what I'm guessing the different approaches are in order to get to the crux of those questions. But he obviously had to attend his kids and make sure they're okay. And I think he's back. So,
right. So
the baby.
Yeah. You can give him some snuggles. All right. So the way I kind of see it is they're both attacking the same problem, but from the collectivist versus the individualist perspective. Effectively, what Jordan is saying is that you cannot make those changes in society without first making them in yourself. Whereas the interviewer was arguing that you can, right? Mm-hmm. Which is where I feel that he's fundamentally flawed, because when I thought the most that I had most influence in the world was when I was just an absolute mess and just making shit worse for everybody. So that is what I'd say that they're two positions. So it's coming down to the argument of, like, do we want to view things based off an individual sense? Do we feel that the problem is best dealt with at the individual's level, with individuals making decisions and behavior choices and forming patterns of behavior that are, you know, better, for lack of a better word at the moment? Or do we attack it through a societal level where we make, you know, social programs, laws, legislation, that sort of stuff? So I think what they're trying to get down to is, like, do we address these problems individually or as a group?
Oh yeah, no, and I totally agree with that. And I had a really great conversation, because I have these starters with my students, and I had a really great conversation because I just proposed the question is, I said, when does your opinion matter? Always, sometimes, never. When
you know what you're talking about.
Yeah, a lot of them said that, and I said, okay, well, first of all, what's the first step in any opinion? When does it matter? And they came up with it. It was like, basically said, when you make an utterance, when you say it, right?
Yeah.
So the first thing you have to do is say it, and now you have to have credibility behind it. And so when we're teaching, you know, all these different essays, and I'm talking about research papers, I'm talking about opinion papers, I'm talking about, you know, we go over all these different texts. So I say, so why as an audience member, as a receiver of the information, as a receiver of your paper, why do I care? You know, and then you have the smart guy in class who's like, because you're the teacher, you know, whatever. But but I had to really ask him. I say, so why should a peer of yours care what you think? Why does it matter? And then the other smart guy in the class says, they don't. Who cares? No one cares. And you know, they get the nihilist opinion, right? But then you have the kids kind of like go, well, actually, you know, I want my opinion to matter. Okay, and I say, well, how do you get your opinion out there? And you have the credible sources, and you have to give evidence, and there's different types of evidence. There's anecdotal evidence. There's data analysis. There's polling. There's facts. There's scientific analysis. There's all these different ways to get your opinion out there and make it mean more and more. So the collectivist is going to say our opinion matters because more of us are saying it.
Yeah.
Where the individual is going to say, my opinion matters because I'm an individual who has done the research.
Yeah.
And I came up with these very specific things, and I've done the backup, and I've backed it up and all that kind of stuff. So just like what you're saying, that individual had to do the work. They had to do the cleaning up of the room before they could move forward and have their opinion matter. They had to do the background breakdown in order for their position to be valid.
Well, like anything in life, Ben, whenever you try to address things, address a problem that you don't understand, if you don't do any research first, it's going to end up in disaster. And the bigger the problem that you're challenging, the bigger the disaster that's going to follow.
Right. So so that's what Peterson says to this guy. So he basically says, just doing these quote unquote simple tasks prove to be very difficult. And then he goes on to say, but you have contempt to the interviewer, and he's talking to the general you, not the interviewer. He says, you have contempt for it. It's quote unquote just my bed. And the interview doesn't even listen to him, doesn't even pay attention, and he proves his point the next sentence. And the interviewer says in response, and then why should I waste my time? And he's talking about the thought of the person. Why should I waste my time making my bed when I have to deal with the problems of the world?
Yeah,
which is the most pompous, self-aggrandizing statement you could possibly have. And Jordan calls him out on it.
What?
He says his response is because you risk inflating your own ego.
Yeah. Not only that.
Yeah, go ahead.
Not only that, not only do you risk inflating your own ego, you also risk doing more harm than good.
Yeah, and that's what Jordan says. He says if you can't even clean your room and get that right, then you infusing yourself into big world problems. Who's to say that you're going to do it better? And moreover, if you can't get your room cleaned up, you're probably going to add to the problem and not fix the problem, which was hilarious. And then the interviewer again, this guy seemed like such a nice, intelligent person, but he must not have been listening, because the next comment he makes along those same lines is he basically says, oh gosh, I lost my train of thought.
Basically says, I can't take care of myself. I have to go fix the world.
Yeah, he again reduces the importance of cleaning the room to the greater world. And then he kind of gosh, I can't remember what he was trying to say, but it's like boom, boom, boom. It's like 3 hits to this guy, and he wouldn't have looked so stupid if he just actually listened to what Peterson was trying to tell him.
Yeah.
But so anyway, getting back to the other idea, I do think there is a place for people to have their voice heard, to be activists, to get involved, even before they have everything squared away. I think Jordan's bigger point is that shouldn't be your main focus.
Well, exactly.
Yeah.
I know some people who are doing the whole activism is my life. And it's like, if activism is your life, then all you're doing is sticking your nose into other people's, making other people's lives your business, as opposed to addressing your own probable character. Everybody has character flaws. Everybody.
Right.
And if you're spending all your time being an activist, then you're not addressing those, and those things, if left unattended, are going to be the things that cause more damage.
And the famous quote goes, "Be the change you want to see in the world." It doesn't say talk about the change you want to see in the world. It doesn't say act about. It doesn't say tell other people how to be a change you want to see in the world. It says be the change, and you can only control what you can control. So I remembered what the guy was talking about. He was talking about how, again, he's flipping about the smallness of cleaning your room compared to going out and being an activist. And then Jordan Peterson responds with, "Oh yeah, they say I'm taking climate change seriously." And then he pauses for a second, dramatic pause, and he goes, "No, you're not. Going out being an activist is not taking the problem seriously."
No.
And then he gives that really cool breakdown of the guy who went surfing and was watching, I think, stingrays.
Yeah.
And he's noticing all the trash that's all over the ocean. Yeah. And so that guy designed a machine that is going to clean up like a large portion of these pools of trash in the ocean that looks like a stingray.
And that's the matter of an individual seeing a problem, actually taking care of that problem in a practical manner. Right?
Exactly.
Just sitting there, bitching about like global warming is a problem. Sure, but how?
Yeah. So
how is it a problem? Do you have the research that you need to back it up? Mm-hmm. Right? I like to think that I go off of research. I have my biases, of course, but I like to think that I go off of the research that I can see. And that is a situation of the difference between an activist and a pro-activist. Mm-hmm. Right? So, yeah, man, like that's realistically the difference between somebody cleaning up because that it's the difference between preaching and then practicing what you preach.
Yeah. It's a good way to put it. It's a really good way to put it. So yeah, I thought it was brilliant. It's a really interesting topic. I found it more interesting because I do see the other side of the coin, where it is, you can't just worry about yourself and you can't just attend your room. The goal is to clean your room and then move forward with that. But if you're just hibernating in your room, then that's not good either.
Right? Yeah. So if you consider each individual as a node in a network, right? Mm-hmm. So take care of yourself, your immediate family, and then your core group of friends and those people. And then just, help out among those charities, whatever charity that you give to or whoever you're helping out, right? Mm-hmm. That is going to expand X number of places. And as you're actively putting in that goodwill around you, that then spreads among the other people.
Yeah.
Right? So then you do that, and that catches on with the person, 3 of the people in your close group who have a network of about 150 people, right? It can spread a lot. I mean, it doesn't spread nearly as fast as negativity, of course, but by actually...
But it's exponential.
It's exponential.
Yeah. It's not, I do one thing, then one thing happens, so who am I to do anything because, 3 things happen because of me? Great. No, that's not the case, right?
3 things happen because of you, but then 3 things happen from each of those.
Right, and that's the exponential part.
If not more.
Right.
Planton seems to want to come on. Planton, shoot me a DM on Twitter. It sounds as if you are trying to argue the interviewer's point of view, and that would be good because it seems like Ben and I both agree.
The individual microcosm. Oh yeah, I can see this. The individual's microcosm of society. Fix yourself, and it's good for today. Absolutely. The interviewer. Did you post the interview on the feed?
On Twitter? No, I totally forgot to. These are just the 8 people who normally show up this time of night when I stream.
Oh no, I'm talking about the interview we're talking about.
Oh no, I totally didn't. I didn't. I was dealing with some
the interviewer seems more on point than Jordan. Really?
Well, I'm curious. I
want to hear why they think that.
But the problem is people can't help because society won't allow it. Oh, it's society, the great society. The great dictator.
Society is made up of individuals, so that's the thing. Like,
right. Well, the interviewer said something I really liked, but he didn't say it. He didn't say it at the right time because it was because Jordan said those people something. He's all, what people? Which is something I say all the time in debate. What people are you talking about? That's just you're just bringing up imaginary people. And when people say because society won't allow it, who won't allow it? What are you talking about?
Yeah, well, it's like when you're talking about social inequality. It's like, what law is in the books that make it so that one group is not able to do something that the other group is able to?
Right. Yeah, that's totally. And then you have the whole idea of, are you holding a baby? Yes.
That's like,
He is.
like, it's actually my toddler, but
It's a toddler. Younger than 5 is a baby.
yeah,
They don't think so, but
no, they think they're all mollies, don't ya?
I definitely have compassion for the interviewer. It's hard to worry about the other.
Well, this is why we all have compassion for the interview, I think. The reason I didn't like what the interview was talking about is not because of what he was saying necessarily, but because he wasn't listening, or at least not understanding what Jordan was saying. So that's where I go, gosh, that's a disconnect. And if you're going to be the interviewer, then that's what Kyle and I were talking about in the very beginning. We were talking about how there's this disconnect with a lot of these interviewees, especially with Jordan. So I think they get away with it with most people. What they do is they try to simplify the argument for argument's sake, or they're trying to simplify the stance, the thesis, for the sake of argument, where the simplification they're doing puts people in these kind of camps where Jordan is not in one of those camps. So it becomes a cluster fuck, part of my language, unless they actually listen to his response.
Yeah.
But because they set up the premise and they're not listening to response, then they're arguing a scarecrow. They're not arguing Jordan Peterson. They're not even arguing his idea. What they're arguing is this idea that they decided was true.
Yeah.
So that's what we're talking about.
I was just replying to, I think it was Awkward Bear. Somebody said that. Oh, Mary Bear.
Yeah. So
It doesn't link.
get into
You are in charge of yourself. There are no laws that keep into those. That's true.
Yeah, no, like even like things like Good Samaritan laws, where you can't get sued for administering first aid and shit like that. Like it comes down to, like, every time a collectivist says that, like, oh, society's done, it's like, how
right.
Tell me the law that says that you can treat one group differently than another.
Well, Crowder has been doing this, and I had the same debate with one of my friends. We were talking about male privilege again, and he says, what are you talking about? Like, break it down for me, because you had this blanket term of all men have this privilege. What are you talking about? Social privilege? Are you talking about biological privilege? Are you talking about institutionalized privilege? Because if you're talking about institutionalized privilege, bullshit. It's not a thing. It's not an institution. There still might be bigots out there. There might be some sexists out there, but institutionally, there's no such thing as privilege, because you have the same rights as every other individual. So the women, they have the same rights. So you can't say it's institutionalized anymore. So are you talking about biological privilege? Yes. Okay, well, I agree with you. There are biological privileges for men, but there's also biological privileges for women.
Absolutely.
So
and there's also societal privileges for both, right? Like,
yes.
Like, weird, apparently Planting can't get in. Weird.
Oh, try to use Internet Explorer, because I was using Mozilla and it doesn't work on Mozilla. Maybe I'm shadow banned. Shadow banned.
He might be. Although he eats nothing but plants, so he might just not want to make it through the
it's a biological fact that people who only eat plants are stupid.
I don't know if that's true.
It's not true at all. It's not true at all. I was just being a provocateur.
Well, I don't know how to.
Yeah, let him join. Actually, we can stay here, but is Bear Jew going to do a stream? Because I don't want to cut into his.
Oh, he's already streaming. That's why I was going to keep it relatively short. Because I normally go into theirs.
Yeah. Do we want to jump over there? Or I don't know if I'll join you in there, but I'll definitely listen.
I might. I'm kind of curious as to what Blanton has to say here, because he's arguing that, like, I can't find an argument that really stands up against the idea that you have to take care of yourself before you get, like, if everybody is working on their own issues and fixing those, then all of those societal and stop focusing on other people, then those societal issues will go away.
Absolutely, 100%. So there's a number of things we have to take into consideration when we're discussing ideas. Obviously, you and I are 100% on the individual side, and we reject the collectivist ideas. I think that they're always become hypocritical. You cannot be a collectivist and not be hypocritical. But anyway, I digress. But there's also people who just cannot bridge the gap, and until they do, at some point they might have an epiphany, and they'll be like, "Oh wow, I get it. I get why I was so off."
All of the collectivist solutions start in your bedroom. Start cleaning your own house, organizing your own nonsense.
Right. So all those big solutions, all those what they used to call bleeding heart liberal solutions, that's how they pulled so many people. So many people are leftists because they drank the Kool-Aid of altruism. They're not even really altruistic because that's not even a thing. But anyway, they all believe that there is this better way. Don't you think we should treat people fairly? Don't you care about kids? Don't you care about people's right to choose? Don't you care about freedoms? Don't you believe in anti-bullying? Don't you think everybody should have the right to feel love and be happy? Well, yeah, motherfucker, I believe that, but that shit's not real. It's not real in the general sense. It's real in the individual sense, but you will never get any one person to be perfect all the way through. More or less an entire society to treat everybody equal all the time. Are you fucking kidding me?
Never mind.
Not only that, you can't even get people to understand how to do that.
Not only that, people are so varied that other than the basics, there is no such thing as a one size fits all for all human beings. There are the basics, like we should be able to say whatever the fuck we want. And I know that's a touchy subject because, feelings. But as several psychologists that I've followed have said, man, speaking is thinking.
Speaking is thinking. And another thing my students did, it was phenomenal. It was such a great debate. It's if you pull away the oppressive, I don't know what the term is, leftist ideology off, or the oppressive politics off of the conversation, you will get the most wonderful answers from your students. But if you frame it in a political way, you get crap. But this is what I did with my students. I said, what do you think about bad ideas? Should someone be allowed to express bad ideas?
Yeah.
And they're 100% of the kids were like, yes. Well, a couple of kids said no first, but they were talking about call to actions. Like you shouldn't be allowed to try to tell other people to hurt people, So I was like, yeah, okay. Not talking about call to actions. I'm talking about just express ideas. And the kids, I didn't say one thing about it. These young people, right away they start talking about how, well, if I don't say it out loud, how am I supposed to know if it's good or bad?
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, that's really great. Tell me more about that. Some other kid goes, yeah, if I'm scared to say what I feel, then it's just going to build up inside of me. I'm like, yeah, then what happens? Well, then I act on it, and I might be totally wrong. Yeah. Oh my God. From the mouths of babes, right? From kids say this stuff. And these adults have gone totally haywire.
That's exactly it, man. Like, it's just, and I really don't think it's a left versus right kind of thing, because I think the left and right are both trying to accomplish similar things. It's the authoritarians versus the libertarians, the collectivists versus the individualists that are really at odds right now.
Yeah. Well, you know, I'm with you. I think in a lot of ways there's similar goals, there's similar outcomes. Mm-hmm. And I think there's even more similar outcomes, goals for the common person. So the common person on the left, the common person on the right want the same thing. It's the outliers that are the fringes that are nut cases. Yeah, the problem is that the fringes have done such a good job of manipulating the masses that people who have good intentions are buying into these really bad solutions.
Yeah.
But like Owen has said multiple times, there's some people who don't have the same goals. There's some goals out there now that are being like pushed that are ridiculous, like wrong, like just wrong, like murder, transitioning at 5 years old, 3 years old, pedophilia. I mean, these are wrong ideas. These are not like debatable ideas. And so when the goals don't match, that's when you have to have not just a debate, but a very clear stance.
Yeah, well, and one thing that I heard recently, Jordan said it, was that we're currently getting into a discussion about first principles, like, and he described first principles as the things that you assume first and then carry on, right? And it seems that's why I keep thinking that it's the individualist versus the collectivist, because like we seem to really, society as a whole seems to be really trying to figure out how it's going to progress, because that's what's like the argument is, if you don't do this, then you are this.
Right.
You know, throw an ism, any ism you want in there, right? Like that's the first thing that happens. That's how they paste you with the, right? And it's just, I don't know. I think we're getting a little bit off topic. Maybe I'm rambling.
Well, yeah, we are. We're actually going into the other topic that I kind of was talking to you about the Ayn Rand quote. I think it's Ayn Rand quote. No, I'm not sure. But the greatest minority is the individual.
Yeah.
So one of two things are going to happen. The left, the collectivists, are going to refigure out, because it's already been solved, that what is it? LGBTQAIP, blah, 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 two-spirit, all that stuff. They're going to get to either going to be good people, and they're going to get to the point where they're going to go, oh, wait, it's just every individual. Oh, we're retarded. Why do we do those?
Yeah. It's funny how Christianity, and like I'm an atheist, so I don't have, I respect the values that the Judeo-Christian background presented and put into society, like individualism and all that. Mm-hmm. But I have a hard time believing that there's a giant floating man in the sky who, you know.
I wasn't talking about religion. I was just talking about individualism and so intersectionality. And so it's either one of two things. Either intersectionality is going to turn into individualism again, because you're going to break it down to the individual eventually.
Well, yeah.
Or two, the insidious thing that would happen is it's going to break down the groups all the way almost to the individual, leaving the cisgendered white male as the bad guy. And then it becomes just blatant discrimination.
Yeah. So, well, if by how you said it, it's either going to go down to individualism or racism again.
Yeah, no, it's either individualism, gosh, I can't speak, or it's going to be like mass genocide for one particular group.
Yeah.
There's only two paths we're on. That's the road we're on. So either we're going to go, oh crap, we're all individuals and we got to stop labeling people and dehumanizing people, because Owen brought it up. I had a speaker come to the school, the campus, and the first thing out of her mouth was, dehumanization is wrong. She said Nazis didn't kill Jews. The Nazis labeled the Jews vermin, and then what do you do with vermin? You kill vermin. The feminists didn't kill men. The feminists called all men toxic, and then what do you do with toxic? You eradicate it.
Yeah.
You cleanse it.
Toxic masculinity, and that's getting rid of masculinity.
It's just how do we dehumanize some other group?
Yeah.
And that's what happens when you start playing with identity politics. So the two ways we can go is they can go, oh, stupid me, facepalm, we're all individuals, we have to treat everybody as individuals. Or they can do the horrible thing of, we're all individuals except this group who are not even human, they're toxic, they're evil, they're bad, they're white, they're men, they're cis, they're whatever else it is. They're Christian, they're Jewish.
I love how cis stands for comfortable in skin, and that's now a bad thing.
Oh yeah, no, yeah. If you're comfortable with yourself and you're not us, then you're bad. You know?
Yeah.
But they don't use it for that reason. The reason that the left is using cisgendered as a negative is simply to say that you have privilege. You get to be comfortable in your skin.
Not only that, it's to discredit your opinion. Like,
oh yeah, you haven't experienced what we've experienced.
All I've been able to discern from anybody who's ever said, "Oh, well, you're just privileged," is, quite frankly, it's just them saying, "Well, you don't have a right to an opinion," and who are you? Like, you could go back to watch any movie where they discuss, portray racism of the 1950s. And they're sitting there talking about how, the Negro is clearly a lesser being, or the Irish are monkeys, or it's just to completely discredit their point of view and their perspective, and that's all it is. That's all privilege is.
Yeah. No, I mean, and then I think of it the other way when they start talking about privilege, because that point's exactly right. I don't want to exasperate it, but you're 100% right. So then the other point about privilege, aside from breaking down your opinion because you haven't lived my experience, the other thing that will happen is it will be like, if I accept that I have certain privileges, then they think that proves their argument. When in actuality, it doesn't prove anything. So what? I have a couple more privileges in certain situations. I have a couple more privileges in certain situations, but that doesn't even account for the fact that that person who's giving me that privilege might be a bigot. Okay? So either I have to assume that everybody's a bigot, so I'm going to get privileges, or I have to go about my life normally and whatever happens, happens. And I should say, and my privileges that I get for being quote unquote a white male, what degree does that really help me? So does it outweigh your privilege of being a nice person? Does it outweigh of your privilege of being educated? Does it outweigh your privilege of having money or not having money? Does it outweigh your privilege of knowing somebody who knows somebody else? Does it outweigh your privilege of being kind to others so others are kind to you? Does it outweigh you being attractive and me being less attractive? Does it outweigh me being tall or you being taller than me? Does it outweigh? I mean, there's so many things that privilege
doesn't account for.
Does account for, but is not commented on.
No, so, I would even posit that it doesn't account for it, because if you're saying something like white privilege, you're then trumping all the other things like intelligence, height, natural athleticism, whatever it is, smarts, all of that. It discounts it and gives a single solution or a univariable solution to a multivariable problem.
Right.
Right. it denies the fact that there is more to you than just this one facet, like I am white, or I am a man, or I am straight. Like those three facts about me are the least interesting things about me.
Oh yeah, that's the what's his name?
Dave Rubin. That's what
Dave Rubin. God, he's so brilliant. I love him. You know exactly. That's exactly it. So you're gonna point out the least interesting things about me because they're the common things about me.
Yeah.
Why would you do that? Why would you not really focus on the cool things about me that are unique and interesting?
Yeah, well, that's just it, man. Like there are so many more interesting things about me than the fact that I happen to have white skin, or that I was born with a penis and identify with that penis.
Identify holding my penis, just walking around holding it. Yeah, no. So there was this really cool. So I really like spoken word poetry, and I really like a lot of these. Actually, it's funny because Berkeley so liberal, so left wing nutcases, but. If you go to some of their graduation ceremonies, because I lived pretty close for a long time, you get these really great speakers who do spoken word or do like this poetry that their experience and these anecdotes and they're interwoven. And this one speaker was talking all about labels and how we shouldn't label, we shouldn't label, we shouldn't label, we shouldn't label. And he was making a great point. We shouldn't label, but that's not real. That's not a real point. No one's going to not label. Right.
Furthermore,
so my response. Go ahead.
Why shouldn't we label? That
was my response. So my response was, we should label. We should label just way more.
Yeah.
Don't call me a white male. Call me a white male teacher, former athlete, tall, brunette, son of this person, and this person, brother to this person, thinker, mathematician, whatever it is I am.
Not only that, the whole reason why we label things is so that we can name them and understand them.
Yes. And you can never understand somebody if you only have 3 labels to them.
Exactly. Like, that's why you have to focus on the individual, because if you just focus on the fact that they're white, well, then you're never going to get to know them. You're never
right.
It's the willful, like, how is that phrase put? Evil is nuance willfully removed.
Evil is new. Oh. Who said that quote?
I can't remember for the life of me at the moment, but I remember the quote.
That's such a good quote.
Right? And that is the whole point, is when you're sitting there going, you're white. Like, there's that meme or the video of the guy going, well, you're a straight white male. What do you know? And it's like, well, probably a lot, man. Like, I've been alive for X number of years. I have lived things. Both good and bad.
Lived things.
I've experienced stuff. Things have happened. Like,
yeah.
Right?
Well, it's interesting when people say the black experience or the white experience or the male experience or the female experience.
Black person is the exact same.
Or they've had the same experience. Like, yeah, there is certain things that most men living on the West Coast will experience. Most men who are living in Canada may experience. Most black people living in the South may experience. Yeah, they're going to experience some things similarly, but geographically, it's going to totally change. Who your friends are is going to totally change. What high school you went to is going to totally change. I mean, it's just, it's crazy.
Yeah.
Totally.
And like that's the thing. That's why I don't like the left. And I really do think that there's a difference between the left and the liberals. Because the liberals want the liberty. Like those classical liberals, as far as I understand it, they're about the liberty, just do your own thing. Whereas like the left is not, man. They're no different than the far right. Right? And they're just trying, they're literally trying to remove the nuance from any conversation.
Right, and that's where they think the most power is.
Yeah,
and they're right in a sense. I mean, the far right, the far left are correct in assuming that if you love him or hate him, Donald Trump does this really well. He'll say something that you can take ambiguously. So in order to you're going to hate him if your assumption is that he's saying something that you disagree with, and you're going to love him if your assumption is that he's saying something you agree with. But in actuality, what's he saying? What the fuck is he saying sometimes?
Yeah.
Obama did it too, but he just did it in a different way. He said the most ambiguous shit, and you're just like, I want to like you, so fuck, you're amazing.
Well,
And
that's the politician thing, though, because like
Yeah.
Trudeau did the same thing. Man, I have never seen any politician so capable of saying absolutely nothing in 10 minutes of responding.
yeah,
Like, this takes Trump's, at least Trump, it was like he did it in threes. There was that pattern,
mm-hmm.
you know, where you're like, okay, I know you're not saying anything, but I'm getting a lot of it.
yeah,
Trudeau, man, like, it's so, he speaks so much in platitudes and cliches and all that, where like you literally, you could ask him about something like, why are you letting ISIS fighters into Canada?
mm-hmm.
And he just, diversity is our strength, and we've let some people in that we're monitoring, and it's like, you know what? They shouldn't have been fucking let in the first place. You fought for ISIS. You are against Canada. Get fucked. I hope something really unfortunate happens to you. And I'm not a spiteful guy, man. But man, that actually pissed me off.
Yeah.
With the politician, like answering without saying it, you know, speak for 10 minutes without saying a thing.
Yeah. Well, yeah, you're right. You're right. It's very much a political thing to do. But it's also, funny enough, some really good show writers do that too.
Yeah.
Like the TV, especially in TV, they'll have a storyline where things are happening, but your favorite character won't say anything definite. They'll just make really beautiful generalities. And so you don't know where they stand. So if they're charismatic, you assume you agree. And if they're not necessarily charismatic, or you don't relate, then you assume you disagree. And so you'll have that bipolarizing or that polarizing nature to that person. But in general, they're gaining the power because you can't target exactly what they're saying. Trump does that less. But I think that a lot of times in my life, I communicate well enough to say exactly what I mean, which makes people go, gross. Right?
Yeah.
Because then they can go, why are you so confident in that statement?
Yeah.
Now you force me to either agree with you or disagree with you. And if I disagree with you on one thing, how many things else I'm going to disagree with you on? Maybe we can't be friends. So it's definitely political. It's definitely a politic thing.
That's something that's always bothered me. I disagree with you, therefore I cannot be friends with you. Man, I got so many people that I disagree with on a fundamental, like Steph Molyneux. There are some things that I genuinely, I don't know about. I mean, it could be right, but like where they kind of like they make me go, yeah, like this whole anarchy thing. I just can't imagine. Oh, if you're wondering who's threatening our kids, it's Trudeau. It's illegal for you to deny that your child is trans. If your child comes home and says, "Oh, I'm trans," you have to encourage their transition.
Oh, yeah, that guy is a nutcase. I don't even think he's. I don't think he has fully developed ideas. He's what we call a pure politician.
He has been in office for what, 3 years now?
Something like that.
3 years now, and he hasn't said one informed answer. Not one.
No, and he probably hasn't taken a clear stance on anything other than flippant comments about we call that person kind. The fuck are you talking about, dude?
Yeah, no, it's like his comments. And it's funny because I was just thinking about this the other day. Like back when he was first elected, and he like made the 50-50 women to men ratio in his cabinet, and they're like, "Why is it so important?" Because it's 2015. Like not even a legitimate like they were the most candidates and, like yada, 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 or the most qualified candidates or whatever else, it was 2015. It's like, what? So we're automatically better because we live in the future? I'm pretty sure pre-Stalin fucking Russia was doing decent before, Stalin went in there and, did the Stalin-y thing with the mass murder and all that. I'm pretty sure that there was a decrease in quality of life. Just saying.
So what do you think about this concept? Because you reminded me of this when you're just saying that. A lot of people think we're smarter now. We're smarter now. We keep on saying we're smarter now. We're smarter now. And I have to remind the young people I work with is that the intelligence is not different. The amount of knowledge is different.
It's the difference between knowledge and wisdom, right?
Right. And so what happens, and I think we're seeing the effects of this. So the question is what happens to a society that has all the knowledge but none of the wisdom?
Yeah, man, and that's a good question.
And this is what I think happens. We have all this information, but we don't know how to apply it, and we don't know how to understand it. And it goes back to exactly what Jordan Peterson was saying. He said, what does it matter? What did he say? He said, I'll be specific. I'll say exactly what it is. He said, he was talking about climate change, and he said something to the effect of, the interviewer says, is this a problem? And he goes, absolutely it's a problem. We know it's a problem. We have no clue of how to solve it. We have no clue of what we're supposed to do about it. So we have a bunch of people ranting and raving about the fact that there is a problem, but nobody having the cognitive discipline to come up with solutions and really evaluate how to solve that problem. Instead, there's just cookie cutter power plays of how to solve the problem. We have a problem. Okay, we have a problem. Whatever the right says is the wrong way to solve the problem, and whatever we say is the right way to solve the problem, so vote for us. Okay, so what do you say?
Well, it's like once upon a time there was such thing as, what was it? A liberal conservative or a
liberal Republican and a conservative Democrat?
Something like that, yeah. Whereas like I consider myself left-leaning libertarian, where I'm like, I see a lot of the points about small government. I also see the social benefits of the safety nets. Right? And that
right.
And there was I
still don't understand the term left-leaning libertarian, but that's an old debate.
Well,
but I hear what you're saying. Yeah. So you're saying, yeah, you see the benefits of the government serving its people, given that it has the ability to serve its people with safety nets, if it's constructed in a way that can maintain and also support people to a degree, right?
Yeah. Yeah, like I'm okay with things like welfare. I want to see welfare as like a 6-month, okay, you have a chance to go get yourself a new job or go get yourself in school or something.
Right. So if you say, depending on what side of the aisle you're on, if you say I would like welfare reform, you're gonna get pushback from the other side. No matter what side you're on, the other side's gonna say, okay, so you're saying, remember that little phrase again? You want welfare reform. You're saying that we shouldn't have welfare, and welfare, so you're racist, or you're a bigot, or you're a whatever. So you're going to get that side. And then if you say, I want welfare reform, if you're on the left and you say that, I want welfare reform, then you're going to get from the right, oh, you just want a nanny state. You just want people to be suckling off the government, right? Yeah. But when in actuality, you just want to have that conversation. But the two parties are not going to let the conversation happen.
Yeah.
Because it's not about the solutions. And that's why in the United States, we are up to our eyes in
Tribalism?
team politics and two-party system.
Well, it's all coming down to tribalism in the States. We got a little bit of different thing going on up here where it's like they're all fucking left-leaning here. All of them, even the conservatives. I mean, they only get the liberals since they're legalizing pot.
So you have leftists and you have liberals, basically. That's what you're saying.
No, that's quite literally what we have: leftists and liberals.
Leftists and liberals,
it's pretty much just a discussion on how far we want to drive it over. You know, and it's kind of freaking me out. Not gonna lie, I see the gulags on the horizon.
Yeah, no, it's really scary. And over here in the States, because Trump won, it gave the Democrats a little bit of juice for this upcoming election, which I'm really nervous about. Because I'm not nervous about Democrats. Actually, Democrats and Republicans, it's a mush term. They don't mean anything anymore. So it's better to say left and right. It's better to say conservative versus liberal, at least in the States. So because Republican and Democrat are just basically mush terms now. It's just an amalgamation of all kinds of different ideas. They don't even make sense. So you'll have 20 different people say 20 different things about the two parties. But my concern is that those who call themselves Democrats, this election that just took place, the Democrats took a Republican territory, and so they counted it as a big win and everything else. But the guy ran on a very moderate, he ran very moderate, which is good because what was happening is the Democrats were being really lumped into these very far left extremists.
Yeah.
So that's my fear. My fear is not that Democrats regain seats in Congress in the States. My fear is that extreme leftists gain seats in the Congress because liberals are now turning to becoming leftists, and Republicans are kind of turning into centrists or even liberals, like in Canada, which is all bad. It's just all bad because of collectivism. That's the only reason I say that. Because I have no problem with having a different opinion about how to make a solution, but that's not what we're getting. We're getting different ideas of what the correct solutions are now.
Yeah.
And it's nutty. But
give me just 1 second. I'm going to dispatch of the child.
All right. Hey, if you want to close this one down and then check out what the Bear Jew's doing, we can do that.
Yeah, man.
Unless we had something more we wanted to chit chat about.
No, I mean this whole section.
Good.
Yeah, man. We should do this again soon.
Yeah, and I would love to join. I'd love you to join in a group chat and be a little bit more of a fly in the wall and not to be so much the center of attention.
Absolutely.
I really love reading these chats. And Kyle, YouTube sucks and doesn't notify me about your streams and freezes on me when I find them. One day I'll get it fixed. I love you. Long time. That's awesome. Yeah, no, I like doing these, and I really like, doing a topic. I think what I'd really like to do, and then tell me if you're down, is I already talked to one of our bears. I would like to talk to Delev too, and get you, me, Delev, and maybe one or two more other bears, and just do a roundtable on one, maybe two topics total, and just break it down. So I'm down to do that on my channel. I'd be down to do it on your channel, but I'd like to do it like a pretty common thing, like just almost resembling The Five. You ever watch The Five on Fox?
No, I don't watch mainstream TV. Yeah,
I watch it because they're pretty funny, and Greg Gutfeld is hilarious. So he's a libertarian, and he just points out a lot of obvious truths, and he does it in a pretty funny way. And so I really like this show for that reason. And they have a surprisingly wide range of opinions on that show.
See,
So-
that's kind of the funny thing that I keep running into is I look for differing opinions, and all the Bears are
Similar?
individual. That's why I want to get because he seemed to be arguing for the collectivists. But
Yeah, I would have loved to have him on and hear what he had to say.
we apparently couldn't get a connection through. So he's got to eat some more meat, man, and that'll give him the strength.
He really does need to eat protein. He needs it. Humans without protein is like trying to feed another animal that's an omnivore, not protein. That was not funny at all. But yeah, no, I like to get that going. Have a discussion with just the 5 of us, and we can do like just an A block or a B block, and just talk about stuff.
Yeah, let's
Because
do
I
it.
really love hearing other people's opinions, and I love being passionate about ideas. But I think Hangouts are amazing, and they're necessary. But
Yeah.
also there should be
Some
maybe
structure.
more facilitated conversations because
Yeah,
I find those to be the most interesting.
I'm probably going to have a conversation because I know that Bear is doing a conversation on censorship right now, so I'm probably going to hop into that chat.
Yeah, good. Yeah, good.
I think I may have been barred from a gig. Like, I think I may have lost a gig this weekend because of these hangouts.
No way.
Well, I can't say for sure, and I don't want to place blame where I don't have proof, but they were very excited to have me.
Uh-huh.
All I had sent them was a couple of songs from the upcoming album, and they're like, well, can we see something of you playing? So I was like, yeah, sure. So I sent them over my YouTube channel.
Uh-oh.
And they're like, oh, well, we decided to, sorry for the late notice. We decided that we're going to go another way.
Dude, that's so crazy. Well, the same reason why I don't put my face on here is some history teacher in Florida had a right-leaning podcast, and they suspended her from teaching.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. So, like, I'm actually kind of trying to. I've been thinking about it all day, and I don't really know how I'm going to go about it because, in one way, I'm like, I got kids to feed, and I don't have Owen's level of support. I'm not getting Patreon support and super chats or anything like that. So it's not like I could stomach the loss of income if it came down to that.
Yeah.
But also, at the same time, it's like, you know what? Fuck censorship, right? Like, I have opinions. I'm not.
Well, if you do it on our channels, we can start doing it on my channel. We can do it on Bear Juice channel and that kind of stuff. It might be better for you, and then you just collapse all. What?
That's hiding,
Uh,
right? And that's the thing too. Is like,
when you go up and you play and you perform, do you talk politics?
no, man.
you
I
don't.
just
So
play, like,
so maybe you just have a music channel and have the other stuff channel then, because to me, it's not right for them to censor you because of something you do that's not even that doesn't even pertain to what you'd be doing for them.
Yeah.
It's like if I was a roofer and someone said, "Oh no, I don't want you to do my roof because you talk politics and your politics are not the same as me." I'm not gonna talk to your roof about fucking politics. I'm gonna do the roof.
Yeah, well, that's just it. I go up to play music. I don't.
Yeah. So I don't think it's you being cowardly or backing down to either have a separate channel or to just do your streams with a different group at all. So, I mean, that's just my opinion. Obviously, you're gonna have to vet that for yourself and figure out what you want to do. But yeah. I don't think it's a bad idea to have your music channel separate from your politics. That way, when someone wants to check you out, they're not going to see something that they might get bigoted about. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, and that's the other thing too. Is like I've also already built up this channel based on music, so it's like, do I delete this? I don't know. It's
Well, maybe just delete the political part of it and keep all the music part of it, and or just transfer it from this channel and then make a totally separate political channel or a bear channel that you're gonna hang out with the bears, and with this channel you just make it solely for music.
Yeah. No, I don't know. I'll have to figure it out.
Yeah. Weigh out your stuff, because I'm in California right now, man, and I already have my Modesty Bear on a different account that I guess people, if they really dug, could figure out maybe who I am.
And
it freaks me out, man. It honestly kind of freaks me out, because
so if
yeah,
people really want to look, like, I'm not hiding my name. I'm on Twitter under my name. I'm on YouTube under my name.
right.
Even me going into other channels, like, if people really look, they'll find me.
Right.
So it's like, I don't know. I really got to think this one through, because,
yeah,
like I said, at one point I got the kids, but at the other point it's like I have my principles, right? I'm a free speech absolutist, like, and if I'm sitting here saying I'm a free speech absolutist and then I'm censoring myself because, well, money.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Don't censor yourself. Maybe just separate your one work from another thing. I mean, we do that all the time. I mean, that's why movie stars don't have their kids on around, like, getting pictures taken of them all the time. Because there's some things that are private for them and their family, and there's some things that are for the public. That's not they're not censoring anybody from their private life. They're just having a private life.
Yeah.
So and so you can have a job where you're a roofer, and you can have a job where you're a politician. You can have a job where you're a musician. You can have a job where you're a, whatever you do.
Yeah.
And they don't have to be intertwined. As a matter of fact, in my opinion, I feel like they should be separated in a lot of ways. Because I mean, I'll tell you right now, I see way more leftists bring their politics into the classroom, which is extremely inappropriate, than I see conservatives. And if they want to not hire conservatives, I mean, that is just blatant bigotry. But my big opinion would be, keep your political opinions outside the classroom. Anytime we're having a debate in my classroom, I do not put my politics in there. I just propose questions that make them think. That's it. I don't sway them to the left. I don't sway them to the right. And when I see other people do the swaying, I just get disgusted.
Yeah.
So likewise, an employer, if they assume you're going to bring your politics into your workplace, then that's them being bigots. I mean, there's only so much you can control.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
More stuff to think about. All right.
Yeah.
Well,
I want the best for you, man.
Yeah, I'll figure it out. I'm sure I won't be out of work. There seem to be people that want me traveling all over the place, so hopefully I'll sort it out.
Yeah, and you deserve it, man. You have a great sound, and I love listening to your stuff.
Cool. Thank you very much.
All right, get the kid to bed, and
I'll see you over.
I'll be tuning in for sure.
Sounds good.
All right,
and you're going for tuning in. Cheers.
Cheers.